Hi everyone, hope you're well. Chris Cowlin here. Now, before we get into it, I'd just like to inform you about a new website selling quality current and retro Spurs jerseys, okjersey.com. They sell all current and retro Tottenham Hotspur shirts in all sizes. They sell the current fan and player versions, as well as the 80s and 90s retro shirts, including my very favourite, the 1991 FA Cup final shirt. You can order very easily from okjersey.com, and if you use the code Chris, you will receive an 8% discount off your final order. You can also use the QR code on the top left of your screen. And by the way, they also have some training wear here and the 25-26 colour special edition jersey. Hi everyone, hope you're well. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another edition of the Spurs Chat Podcast. My name is Chris Cowlin, and for the next 90 minutes or so, we'll be talking about Tottenham's 1-1 draw away at Anfield against Liverpool. Now, I'll tell you what, Spurs deserve that, and we may have even nicked it as well. Now, Tottenham's first point under Igor Tudor in the Premier League. Tottenham certainly gave it a go, showing real grit, determination, fight and desire, and that is exactly what we want to see in the next 8 games in the Premier League also. Such an important point after West Ham United, Nottingham Forest and Leeds also picked up a point during this weekend. Spurs do remain 16th in the table, 1 point above the relegation zone. We have 30 points, and Forest in 17th, they have 29 points. West Ham in 18th, they also have 29 points. Now let's introduce today's guests. They're all channel regulars. Craig Dearman's back with us. Craig, how are you?
Yeah, much better after that. Yeah, much better. Yeah, that was a bit of fight shown today, which is great.
Also back with us is Richard Whitehead, MBE. Rich, how are you?
Yeah, smiling after the last couple of minutes for sure. It's been tough. It's been tough. Look, I'm trying to be the best professional athlete I can be, and then I'm having to see this dross at the weekend, and it's killing my mental health. I'm having to give counselling in the week just to get over the results, and then I'm trying to kind of smash my own world record and be the best athlete I can be, and then I'm watching some of these, well, I don't know what to call them, playing on a Saturday and Sunday.
We're being positive today, Rich. We're being positive. We'll talk about the football in a second. Also back with us is Gareth McGuinness, all the way over in Ireland. Gareth, how are you?
All good, Chris. A lot better. Share the same feeling as the lads. The only concern, I think, was I thought we'd scored too early. I was waiting for Liverpool to get a lit winner, but because we've been in that position before at Anfield. But no, look, it was fully deserved, and definitely it gives you a bit more positive of a feeling now moving forward that we can pick up some points.
Absolutely. Now we're live on YouTube, live on Facebook and X, so please do get involved. Let us know how you are feeling about that result and performance today. I think it does give all of us a little bit of a lift, the fact that there was a lot of fight and desire in that performance, which we haven't seen. It's fair to say we haven't seen this in the previous games under Igor Tudor in the 29 days that he has been here at Tottenham. So let's get into it. Liverpool 1, Tottenham Hotspur 1. Szoboszlai putting Liverpool 1-0 up after 18 minutes with a free kick. Richarlison equalising for Spurs in the 90th minute. A fantastic layoff and great work from Randall Kolo Muani. Now, match facts and stats. Liverpool had 63.4% of the ball. Tottenham had 36.6%. XG, Liverpool 1.67. Tottenham 1.18. Shots, Liverpool had 17. Spurs had 13. Shots on target, Liverpool had 4. Tottenham Hotspur had 7. Total touches inside the opposition box, Liverpool had 45. Tottenham 18. Liverpool saves, goalkeeper saves, Liverpool 6. Tottenham 3. Aerial duels 1, Liverpool 14, Spurs 8. Fouls committed, Liverpool 8, Spurs 13. And corners, Liverpool had 3, Tottenham Hotspur had 4. And as I mentioned, Spurs remain 16th in the Premier League table, 1 point above the relegation zone. Craig, let's start the show with you. Let's get your thoughts on today's game and performance.
Yeah, look, we're obviously still in it, but that could have done something. That could be a catalyst for us to now get a bit of belief and push on and get a few wins. I mean, we'd been stuck in the 20s points-wise since the beginning of December, so it's good to finally break 30 points, and I never thought I'd actually be saying that at this stage of the season as a Spurs fan. Perhaps Tudor has unlocked something now with this 4-4-2. I think that's the way to go for the rest of the season, 2 up front. Although I didn't think Solanke had his best game, I think just something a bit different. I'm glad we played 4 at the back today. Liverpool had a few chances, but it wasn't like peppering our goal. I was worried coming into this game, probably like the rest of us. But the one person, and look, I've given him as much stick as everybody else, Richarlison. He's the one player that I'd want in this fight. I think he could be key to us staying up because he knows what it's all about. I thought he was excellent today, hounded people, always a menace, got the equalising goal. And I just think he knows, he gets it. He knows what it's all about. There's several other good performances today from the players. I thought most of them were pretty good. Vicario obviously had a couple of dodgy moments, but he did make a couple of good saves. I thought Sarr, he didn't get much plaudits, but I think he was everywhere today, tired towards the end, but I thought he was good today. Archie Gray was really good today. The substitutes that came on, even Javi was trying to make things happen. I want to see more from Javi, though. I think he could be key in this running. But on the whole, even Randall Kalimwani coming in, who hasn't been playing well for Spurs, gets the assist, made a bit of a menace. I think that could be his role for Spurs going forward for these next few games. But ultimately, it was a game today when not many of us would have predicted getting anything at Anfield, and we've got something. And I think that sends messages to the teams around us as well. The West Ham fans would have been, and Forest fans and Leeds fans would have loved it, the fact that we were losing 1-0 and to come back and get a point at Anfield, a place where we don't do well in history. I think that's massive, but it's only massive if they can build on it. Obviously, we got the Champions League in the week, but make no bones about it, next game against Forest in the Premier League is huge. I think if we win that, then we can start really, really thinking about, can we get out of this?
Yeah, Craig, I was going to mention that because, to go to Anfield and get a result, I don't think Liverpool were great today. And I think that's probably an understatement. But when you look at the amount of points that some of these teams have picked up in the calendar year of 2026, West Ham 15, Wolves 13, Leeds 12, Forest 11, Burnley 8, and Spurs just 5. As you mentioned, I know we're happy with the result and we're happy with the performance, but as you've rightly said, don't get carried away because this has to continue, definitely against Nottingham Forest Sunday week. Igor Tudor on his position, he's just been talking to Sky and he said in every club in the world, it is the same as Tottenham. When there is not a good result, the change of coach gives hope, but then the problem stays. The coach needs to solve the problem. He then went on to say, journalists like to ask these questions, but it doesn't make sense. The coaches are obliged to ask these questions, otherwise they will just stay at home. You insist with the same questions. Craig, let me stick with you for a second. After this result, because there was a lot of noise, there was a lot of people, a lot of journalists stating, and a lot of fans as well, stating that if Spurs had lost this game today against Liverpool, Spurs would have replaced Igor Tudor. What do you make of his position now? Would you like Igor Tudor to stay? Does he still need to go?
That is such an awkward question. If we'd have lost the game, you're dead right. I think he had to go. I think it comes down to the people in the club, and the people in the club, I'm not sure I trust the people in the club to make the right decision. But it all comes down to the fact that, are the players playing for this manager? Are they playing for him? Were they playing for themselves and the fans today, or were they playing for the manager? It's a really interesting question, and I don't know which way the club are going to go, because if they do make a change after that, does that send the right message? It would only send the right message to the players if they feel that he's lost the dressing room. And it's hard to say whether that was on Tudor. Tudor obviously picked the team today, and he picked the formation, which is more important, the 4-4-2. And I thought we looked really, I wouldn't say really good actually in 4-4-2, but we looked more solid. It was the best performance I've seen us play we look the most organised we have in a long time. And bearing in mind, that's the first point we've picked up since the beginning of February, of course. So it was important. So I can't actually answer the question. I was a bit bemused when I saw that Sousa was essentially right midfield. And obviously he was taken off on about 55 minutes, but it was obviously perhaps something they've been working on in training. So I don't know, Chris. I don't know what the best thing to do would be. Is the right thing to do now sack the manager when we've just got a point at a place where we can't get points even when we've got a full strength team out? It's a really interesting one, and let us know in the comments what you people think, because I'm a bit confused with the whole thing now. I think he probably has to, next game is Champions League, and again that's something that's not a priority, certainly. So I could certainly see him getting Forest now. I think Gareth said that in the group that, I think if he's probably going to get Forest now, but I'd be interested to hear what Richard and Gareth think about that.
So you're sitting on the fence then, yeah? Oh, it's frozen. Right, Rich, before we come to
I've got splinters in my backside on that.
I thought so. Rich, before we come to you, Igor Tudor was just asked in the press conference about how nice it is to get your first Premier League point as Spurs boss. He said it's nice, some fresh air, some good things for the confidence of the players, everyone again around the club, and especially the fans. Good team spirits under the circumstances the team was in today, coming here to Anfield with only 12 outfield players. What we already know, this is something big. We stayed in the game, we believed that we could get something, and I felt that we could score the goal. The players also felt it, so yes, it was nice. Rich, let's get your thoughts on today's game.
I think momentum's key. Obviously, we look at the last game against Atletico Madrid, and obviously the mistakes, the lack of confidence, there's clearly something had to change, and I think probably before the game, it's very key that obviously we scored the last goal against Atletico Madrid. And I think even that as momentum going into the game, you need to take something into your next game. But also, like I said to you before, Chris, you look at in the tunnel, you look at their attitude, some of their behaviours, it looked a little bit different to midweek. And I think even though there's a lot of pressure around the players, the manager clearly is setting up to win points. He's only got certain resources because of his injuries, and he's looking for those set plays. Obviously, playing direct, trying to take out some of the mistakes that we're making at the back, which are still happening from obviously the keeper and some of the defenders. But I think today's execution of what the plan was to come away from Anfield with something, and with the chances that we did have with the players up top, we could have easily nicked it. And with a little bit of luck that we know sometimes some of the teams get, the result could have been completely different. I'm listening to some of the Liverpool players, what they've been saying, and they can't remember us having a chance. I'm like, well, you need to look at the highlights. We had chances, and with a little bit of luck, we'd have took 3 points today. I think going into the game midweek, it'd be really interesting to see if he sets up very similar with similar players, or he reverts back to the other centre backs for the midweek game, but then sticks with the pairing that we had today for the Forest game. It'd be really interesting to see that, because you're going to, if you have a negative result in midweek and you've got those 11 players, how is that going to affect what we've actually done today? I think we're going to have to move forwards every game, and the manager, love him or hate him, he's set out his stall. All he's going to do with his squad is try and win points, not play attractive football. He's going to set the team up to win as many points through either set plays or what tools he's got on the pitch, and he did that today for sure.
Rich, can I ask you what you've made of the 29 days under Igor Tudor and the games that we have played under him so far?
Well, statement-wise from the start didn't help, did it? Like, says that that 1,000% like not going down, I'm like, mate, have you got a crystal ball or what? What's going on here? Because like the dross I'm seeing and the players' confidence being as low as it has been, you can't say any statement like that. I think it's for me, is he putting the hard work in with the players? Clearly, he's trying to drill them. Some of the players have been sulking in some of the games. Like I've seen it from Simmons, I've seen it from Jed Spence in a couple of games. I've seen players coming on, not kind of being on it from the first touch of the ball or first step on the pitch. It's been frustrating. I was expecting something. I was expecting a change. But then when you look at the players that we've got injured that can transform some of the games that he hasn't got, he's clearly down to using the same players that the previous manager had, and you can't wave a magic wand over these players and expect them to all of a sudden change. But what I have liked, and probably one of the only things I have liked, is now he's starting to look at the strengths of some of the players, like the Slanky Richarlison up front, and he's going, look, Solanke's got a history of scoring lots of goals. Richarlison, scruffy goals, whether you like it or not, he can change games. So that's what he's relying on. He's relying on those kind of bits of magic, because when I first saw the starting 11 today, I was like, he's going for a 0-0. He's literally going to go, actually, we're going to try and shut up shop. We're going to try and squeeze the midfield and maybe hit them on the break. And then when obviously they scored from that free kick, I was like, oh my goodness, how are we going to get back into it? But the players showed fight today. Momentum, hard work, fight. Those are the things I think as fans we need to really kind of get behind now. Look, like that Forest game, like Craig says, we need to build off this now. And the fans are going to be that 12th man for sure. And we need to make it count, because I think that's the crucial game of our season.
Absolutely, and it could certainly be the turning point in our season. Gareth, let's get your thoughts on today's draw and today's performance. And like Craig mentioned there, not many people, including our own fan base, gave us much chance of getting something at Anfield today.
No, I think everybody from, that watches football, whether you're Tottenham connected or you're a fan of any other club, a pundit, just a commentator, I don't think anyone thought Spurs could even make a game of it today. Jamie McGuinness was one who says he's watched Liverpool all season and he felt that it wasn't going to be a foregone conclusion if Liverpool performed the way they have been performing. And look, I think it's fair to say it's a shadow of the Liverpool team that we seen last season. Obviously, they've brought in a lot of players and some haven't worked out, and the managers are under a lot of pressure. It was quite reminiscent of what we've seen at Spurs this season, the boos at full time. You don't often hear too many boos at full time at Anfield, but those were loud boos, and you sort of think that Arne Slot's time there's coming to an end. It might not come to the end of the season, but it's difficult to see how that can carry on. In terms of our performance, I think we picked the right time to go to Anfield. I think fans that are maybe, I wouldn't be judging the manager on today or judging these players on today. I think, yes, we're on a relegation scrap, but due to what you said, Chris, that not many people expect us to do anything there today. The pressure was off, and the pressure was off slightly compared to how it'll be next week at Forest. Everyone will expect us to turn up at home. Will these players turn up at home with the fans there, against the relegation rival? That is probably where these players and manager should be judged. I think regardless of what would have happened today, unless it was a really, really 5 or 6-0 defeat, I think Tudor probably would have got until next week due to the international break. That would have given him a bit more time to assess the situation and bring somebody in and ready for that Sunderland game. So he's definitely bought himself this week. The fact that the Atletico tie, really, barring a miracle, is over. As that in our game, like Richard said, they build momentum, that the fact there's no real pressure on Wednesday night. Everyone's thinking ahead to the Forest game. We're 3-0 behind. Can we put together some sort of performance and maybe even win a game? Even if we win the game 2-1, it's yes, we're to the Champions League, but it's a win and a draw going into that massive game against Forest. But the jury's still very much out for me. When it came to crunch games against teams around us, West Ham, I was at the game against West Ham. We didn't seize that opportunity. Burnley away around that time was a poor performance. So we've got to find a really good performance next week and beat Forest, because if we lose to Forest next week, like Craig said, people will forget about this point at Anfield today. It's got to be a springboard. They string at least 2 or 3 results together. The quicker we can get 2 or 3 wins on the board, we can start to maybe plan ahead for next season. Because I think, regardless of what happens now in the season, if Spurs fans would all take now 1 and 3 out of the last 8 games, because you would imagine guarantee safety, and then we can start to rebuild this football club and where we're going to go and what direction we're going to go in, and who's going to be that person to lead that change from the boardroom, from the manager, and what kind of playing squad's going to be involved. So today is a positive, but I still have a lot of reservations about the mentality of this squad when it comes to the crunch game, which is next Sunday really against Nottingham Forest. And can the manager get them going for that? Because for as poor as it's been under Tudor in terms of his tactics, team selection for whatever, he's had a lot of injuries, but even with the players available, he's often been criticised for maybe not picking the best formation or the best team. But one thing I will say, obviously being a coach myself, Chris, you cannot cater for the amount of individual errors that's happened in the last 3 or 4 weeks. If today against another individual error for the goal, the goalkeeper, he really should be saving that. And there's a lot of criticism put on the manager for the change in midweek with Kinski. The reason that happened was because of Vicario's poor form. Well, it was the right game to do it. In terms of throwing a keeper on the Champions League debut in such a crunch game, that's something that the manager's got to own. But at the minute, Chris, it doesn't really matter who's in goal. You don't really feel confident. That then transfers to the defence and the rest of the team. Dragusin was really shaky in that first half. I think he got better as the game went on. I thought Danzo was excellent. Mickey van de Ven has been very, very poor, and the fans at the moment are questioning his loyalty to the club. Romero, we know, is a bit of a liability. So there's a big decision to be made of who's in goal next week. I'll be surprised if Kinsey come back in, to be honest. But, he's got it back for Vicario now, despite that error today. It'd be a big decision to drop Romero and Van de Ven next week when they're both available. But that is kind of the decisions that are facing the manager over the next sort of 7 days.
Could I just ask all 3 of you very quickly how confident you are of Spurs staying in the Premier League for next season? Gareth, let's start with you.
I didn't have any confidence today of getting the result, but Chris, I think it all comes down to the Forest game, to be honest. I think if we beat Forest, we probably stay up. I think if we lose to Forest, we're probably down. I think, beating Forest next week definitely drags Leeds closer into it now. Leeds were kind of had a bit of a healthy advantage, kind of where we were 6 or 7 weeks ago. Leeds are kind of now being dragged back into it. So I think when you can bring in our team in it, it obviously boosts your chances. You're now looking at 1 from 4, whereas kind of over the last 2 weeks, it's kind of been 1 from 3. So with all these teams picking up a point today, and I think that's a positive. But all comes down to Forest for me. If we win next week, we stay up. But it's not going to be easy. I still think it's going to go very, very close to the wire, because I just don't have any confidence in these players, the mistakes. I watched West Ham last night. Yes, we were better today, but West Ham looked last night like they've got the butt between their teeth. They were fighting tooth and nail. I haven't seen that yet from us. So Forest massive next week, Chris. Beat Forest, I think we stay up. Lose to Forest, I think it's an uphill task.
What about you, Craig?
Yeah, I kind of agree with Gareth. It's funny because on paper, and football is not played on paper, as we know, but like you beat Forest, and then if you manage to beat Leeds and Wolves, then you'd like to think that we're out of it. We're kind of up, but it's not guaranteed. But and ultimately, I agree. West Ham look like the ones that are probably fighting, even though Forest had a goal disallowed today. You got to look at the other side of the coin. Palace had a goal disallowed today, which would have obviously got them the win. So football's fine margins, and ultimately, I think I'm right in saying West Ham have got Leeds on the final day of the season. Is that right? I think that's right. So
the reason why I said there, Craig, is because when you look, like I said earlier, about how many points that these teams have picked up, and like Gareth said, a lot of these teams around us have got a lot of fight. West Ham picking up 15 points in this calendar year so far to Tottenham's 5. That is hell of a difference. And Wolves even, they're looking a dead cert to go down, and they've even picked up 13 in this calendar year. So do you have the confidence now from what you've seen in this game that Spurs will go on to collect more points? Because let's face it, a couple of days ago when you and I were talking, both of us said to one another, where on earth is the next point coming from? This is an unexpected point, isn't it, today?
It is, and those are always the ones that put a bigger smile on your face, and it does give you a little bit more belief, doesn't it? Because you've gone to a place where you've got a shocking record, and as I say, even with a full strength team, we've had shocking records at Anfield. And yes, it's not the Liverpool of old and not the Liverpool we've been used to, but we've still got to go out there and you still got to get the point, and we did. And so have I got a bit more faith that we're going to stay up now because of that performance? Yes, but I'll come back to what Gareth said. It means absolutely squat if we don't beat Forest next week. Obviously, Forest is huge. It's the biggest game of the season. If we don't turn up in that, if we don't win, then I'll go back to how I was feeling probably before kickoff about our chances of staying up, because it's still a lot of work to do, a hell of a lot of work to do. And you're right in what you say about, what does he do? Does he bring in Romero and Van der Ven? I think he probably will. But is there an argument to say you put Van der Ven at left back, even though Spence I thought was really good today? I thought Spence was keeping up with that young Liverpool lad, Rio, was it his name? Fantastic player, but he's rapid. And when they had Frimpong and that Rio, what was his name, Gareth? So his surname?
Engamoa.
Absolutely rapid pace, and I thought we could be in trouble down the wings. And Spence was just keeping him at bay most of the time. So would you drop Jed Spence and put Mickey Van der Ven at left back and then play Danzo and Romero at centre back and Porro on the right, dropping Jagusin, of course? But that's a question for another day, of course. But the lads have shown they've got the fight. Now, whether that was for the manager, themselves, or the fans, as I say, I don't know. I really don't know. None of us know that. But I think Tuda definitely gets Forest on the strength of that performance.
I should just say, lads, I think over the last few weeks, we've obviously been like the team that's, the biggest losers. I think Forest are the biggest losers this weekend. They'd have looked at the fixtures, Fulham at home, a nice fixture. They wouldn't have banked on West Ham and Spurs picking up a point apiece. So I think psychologically, it's a damaging weekend for Forest. Obviously, going on to this week now, they have a away trip. They play Midtjylland, so that's and it's only 1-0 as well. So they've got to kind of go strong in that to a certain extent. So there's a lot of pressure on Forest. Obviously, we're under a lot of pressure, but I think Forest are going on the Sunday too under massive pressure after the results this weekend, which will definitely help us.
Rich, are you confident that Spurs will be a Premier League team next season?
Yeah, great question. And I think obviously the guys has summed up kind of some of my thoughts, but I think it's because we've really lacked consistency. We've not had that control in our own destiny, and confidence has been really low, and that's really affected our momentum within the league. When I've kind of looked at the players that are available, and I think Tuda from the start had not really got the right blend with the players. And like I said before, he came into the role to win points. He wasn't bothered about how they were playing. It was all about, I'm going to win the points to be able to keep us in the league. And I think he's realised that, yes, you can do that, but also against certain teams, you need to play a different way to be able to make those opportunities. I look at that result today, and hopefully that lifts the players. I think like looking in the comments around some of the fans were saying about kind of hope the fans against Forest give the players the time, the support, to be able to kind of win that game. And I think that's key. Like I said before, I think you have to back your team. Come on, you have to back your team. You have to say, look, we've got enough. I think, like Gareth just said, I think Forest will have a lot of pressure from above. From their, like, obviously Marianakis and his team are putting a lot of pressure on Forest players. They've got to stay in the league because of the amount of money they've spent. So there's an extra pressure there. I think have all the players down at the bottom, West Ham and Wolves are the ones that are showing momentum because of the results, like you alluded to, with those 15 points and 13 points respectively. I've got a real interesting feeling that Leeds might get pulled into a last day fight, you know. Like Craig alluded to, I think Leeds still could go down on the last day of the season. So I'd say that, look, if the players come together as one, I think Pedro Porro as a captain has been a good choice. I think today he's always first. He wants to talk. He wants to. Some of the messages that he puts out are very positive about coming together. I think we just need to stick together for these last games and really build from this result. So yes, from me.
Rich, it's very interesting what you say about the support because people, especially footballers, need the support when things aren't going well for us, and they need the support more than ever from us.
I've had it, mate. When I played ice sledge hockey in the Winter Paralympics in 2006, and we got battered our first two games, and it was a Italian crowd, and we played Italy to go through to the quarterfinals, and we won 2-1 just because we came together, and the small group of fans that we had, we told them they need to make the loudest noise, and they did. They came out and they supported us, and that really does elevate the players, especially when you've got those cutthroat opportunities. You don't want to feel the pressure. Like we know Richarlison as a player, if he doesn't think and he strikes the ball, he's going to score. When he's got time on the ball to think about what he's doing, he obviously scuffed one in today. Thank you. But generally, if he's got time on that ball, he feels the pressure and then things don't go well. And I think some of the other players are exactly the same. We need the fans to really elevate the players.
Interesting point. I was right that West Ham play Leeds on the final day of the season.
Yeah.
And even with our goal difference, you'd think it wouldn't be that bad. If we are 1 point above both those, even on the last day of the season, we stay up. We stay up regardless of what really happens to us because both of them can't win. So I know that seems quite simple to say as long as we're 1 point above Leeds and West Ham, but I mean, it could be as tight as that. And obviously Chelsea the previous week. So you'd like to think that could we get something at Stamford Bridge now? Chelsea a bit yo-yo, but that's way down the line, of course. But we just need to keep pace with those people around us, and a few wins here and there, and we could be really out of it. But because before today, I was looking at the sort of teams we're going to be. I was absolutely convinced we're going down, and then Spurs do what Spurs do and drag you back in again, and you start to believe again. And I think hopefully with the fans believing now, I think that's hugely important for the Forest game, actually, with the fans are going to be there at the stadium next week. They're going to be hopefully really up for it and push that team on. Hopefully we can get 3 points.
And the players reacting that right way as well. I think no rash decisions. Like the centre-backs being, how many times have it, like the red cards that have dictated how we're doing in the games, and we've had some really rash decisions. Keeper-wise, again today, some of them, the centre-backs, it needs to be controlled. Look, no silly decisions. We're playing to win the points. That's it. Come on, that's it.
Gareth, let's come to you. Let's talk about Tottenham's starting 11 today. Even Igor Tudor expected Conor Gallagher to be ready today, but he unfortunately was still ill. So, the plan was to have him in the starting 11 today, but it was Vicario, Porro, Danso, Dragusin, Spence, Sosa, Gray, Sarr, Tell, and up front, Richarlison and Solanke. Only 7 subs on the sub bench today, including 2 goalkeepers, Austin Kinski, Mawani, Olasesi, Rosewell, Simmons and Wilson. What do you make of the starting 11 today, Gareth? Because Tuda made 4 changes to this team that started against Atletico Madrid. Vicario, Dragusin, Sosa and Solanke all coming in. Kinski, Romero, Van der Ven, Mawani all dropping out.
Well, I mean, I'll start with the Gallagher being ill. I wasn't that disappointed that he wasn't available. I've been very disappointed with Conor Gallagher since he's arrived at Tottenham. I think Elisesi shown more in his 15-20 minute cameo than Gallagher has in 3 months. So as far as I'm concerned, Conor Gallagher being available isn't a big, from what, it's not the Conor Gallagher we've seen at Chelsea. So for me, I wouldn't have him anywhere near this team at the moment. The actual formation, I wasn't sure until the game started because there was obviously a lack of availability with a lot of players, and you weren't sure where Archie Gray was going to play, where Pedro Porro was going to play, where Sousa was going to play. So you kind of just had to wait until the game started. But I agree with Craig. I think Spence done really well in that position that he's often had to play in his Spurs career. Pedro Porro looked a lot more comfortable as a right back than he did in Atletico Madrid when he played as a centre back. I mean, he looked really, really lost. You can't really blame him for that. I can't imagine he's ever played there in his career. So I think when you're in a struggling team, Chris, it's up to the manager to simplify it and play players on positions they're familiar with, and he definitely wasn't helping with that over the last few weeks. So putting Porro back there was a better move. I was very worried about the partnership of Danzo and Dragusin. I think Dragusin was really shaky in the first half on the ball. He made some very, very poor decisions trying to run with the ball and losing it. But I definitely think he settled into the game. I thought Danzo was excellent. Really, really strong game. Sousa, we haven't seen a lot of him, but I thought he'd done okay. He was brave enough to have that shot from distance, and he almost got on the end of that cutback at the start of the game at 0-0. Archie Gray's been semi-consistent and one of our better players in this poor run of form. Thought Tell was a threat, in the first half, not so much in the second half. I think the biggest disappointment with Tell is he shows the odd flash, but never really looks like scoring or affecting the game in a positive way. I thought Richarlison worked his socks off and he was a constant threat. And yes, Solanke's had better games, but I thought he'd done okay as well. So, look, I think we probably got near enough the maximum out of the team that we had. Sarr had a good game as well. Could many of those players performed any better than they shown today? Probably not. Vicario was Vicario, really, wasn't he? I mean, anytime he got the ball, really, and there was one in the second half, I think, where he done a flick past the Liverpool forward, and then he actually played the ball behind Dragusin. So I really feel for the defenders at the minute playing in front of him because you just don't know what he's going to do, and I think that's a real problem for the manager and the players, that they've kind of got a maverick goalkeeper that you just don't know what he's going to do next. And as Richard pointed out, in this relegation battle, you can't afford to give teams head starts, and you can't afford to give soft goals away. Because Atletico Madrid, we give away 4 of the 5 goals. Today, we give Liverpool a head start at Anfield, and a better Liverpool team would have put that game beyond Spurs. So, you're hoping now against Forest next week that we can get through a game without making a mistake. And if we do that, we've got enough between Richarlison and Solanke with Premier League experience. They know that they can score goals at this level. So, if we can keep a few clean sheets, I'm convinced that we've got players there that can score goals and get us 3 points in the big games that we need. Craig referenced 3-1s. I think he's probably right. I'd be very surprised if we were relegated on 39 points. It's been a long time since the team went down with a point total like that. And there is, I think, some crunch games in there. I think, between Spurs, Forest, Leeds, West Ham, Burnley and Wolves, there's quite a lot of fixtures against each other. So obviously there'll be teams not being able to pick up, points every week because they're playing each other. So, it all comes down to Forest now. Again, I keep referencing it. I just think there's so much riding on this game. I think if we can win that game and get 4 points ahead of Forest, you automatically think Forest, if they won 2 games now, to catch us, because you can maybe see us getting at least one more one or a couple of draws, and with the goal difference, that means Forest would have to win 2 games from their final 7 games. So, not that it's impossible, but it's a lot of pressure on them going into each game. So, as I said, getting back to the team, I think most of the players that played done well, and I was really impressed by Alisesi when he come on. I thought he done really well to come into a game like that at Anfield, and the pressure on him, I thought he handled himself really well. And he also tried to pass forward and affect the game. Craig referenced Xavi Simons, a couple of bright moments. Be interesting to see if he finds his way into the team for the Forest game next week, because it's a game that you feel we need to try and be proactive and win. A draw next week against Forest, it isn't a disaster, but it would feel like a missed opportunity, and you kind of feel that we need creativity in the team to get the likes of Richarlison and Solanke involved. So will Xavi Simons come into the team for that game? I can understand why he was left out today going to Anfield, but you feel that we might need that wee bit of extra creativity at home next week.
Whether he's strong enough mentally as well. I think. I think for me,
Yeah.
I think honourable mention would be Saul. I think he works hard today. I think ran his socks off.
Sorry, Richard, boys, I've got this good on as I told you. Okay, thanks very much for having me on, and I'll catch you again.
Cheers, Gareth.
Cheers, Gareth.
Cheers.
I think it's important just to say that next weekend Villa play West Ham at Villa Park, and Leeds are at home to Brentford. So I know you can never, you can't. Who can predict what happens in the Premier League? But if, as Gareth said there before he went, if we can somehow get 4 points ahead of Forest, that's a little gap opening.
Yeah,
one game
absolutely.
at a time. One game.
Absolutely. We can sit here and hope and pray, Craig. There's nothing wrong with that. I'll tell you what, we don't normally mention the opposition team and their lineup, but I tell you what, I was certainly glad to see the likes of Ekitike and Salah on their bench today rather than their starting 11. Craig, what do you make of the starting 11 today? Because I want to give special mentions. I know you've already given us special mentions to Sarr, but the fans seem to absolutely love Archie Gray and Kevin Dancer at the moment. And this team and this squad has had a lot of, received a lot of criticism of late. Yeah. But there are certain players that you could really choose and pick out and say they are giving 100% at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Danzo, yeah. I mean, you could go through there. Danzo, for me, I think it would be harsh to drop him against. I'm not going to talk about the Champions League game for next week. I think Danzo has to play, Chris. I really do. And Archie Gray's just been phenomenal. I think he looked a lot better in his more natural position today. Absolutely battling. I think his final ball's not quite good enough yet, and I'd like to see more of an end product from him. But that is a sort of play. We've been saying it on the channel for weeks. You want players that are not necessarily the most talented, but the ones that are going to battle and the ones that are going to stand up and be counted. And that's what, I mean, Richard will tell you, and that's what sport's all about. When the chips are down, you want those players, not always the most technically gifted, not always the best, if you like. You want the players that are going to stand up and say, no, not on my watch. I'm not going to be relegated. I'm not going to be relegated with this club. And we've heard rumours of players that have been saying, it doesn't really bother me if we're relegated. I'm going to get me a move anyway. I don't want players like that in my club. I want the players, the fighters, something that it actually means to them. And I would say those players today that are out on that pitch, that they wanted that today. They did. It wasn't the best performance. It wasn't pretty, but that's what you want to see every week. But they have to do it every week. They have to do it against Forest, because believe me, if we can somehow beat Nottingham Forest, that is going to put a huge dent in those players' belief as well, because they're going to be coming to our stadium thinking Tottenham are crap at home. We can actually get something out of this. And if we can somehow get 3 points against them, that's going to give them a massive knock. Do you know what I mean? So it's huge. It really is huge. But going back to the players you asked about, Danso, Sarr today, Gray, superb, and absolutely well within their rights to think they deserve a starting berth next week.
Yeah, and there's traits that obviously those players have got, like Danzo, obviously all this charity work has been doing recently, and obviously investing the time in the community projects. Archie Gray, like saying, look, he feels that you can really win something and do something more at Spurs. And yeah, Craig, you alluded to some of the negative stuff that's come out in the press around players maybe thinking about what's going to happen next season. You can't have that in situations like this. You need solutions. You don't need kind of people trying to jump ship this early. It's about people coming together with the ability that they've got. And yes, like Danzo isn't the most talented player on the ball, but he shows that fight that you need within the team. And I think everybody needs to come together and show those tools, show what they've got, and really fight for every ball, every play, every last minute, but also have that control. Like the last couple of minutes today, I was like, look, we've got a point now. Let's make sure we have this point. Let's not throw it away like we've done it in the past. This is momentum. That's what sport's all about. It's not about let's go for it. Let's see if we can win 3 points, because the likelihood is, as we know, we're going to lose one and then we're back to square one. It's about how you stay in this division, win points, get momentum, build confidence, and build the confidence of the players that want to play. The players that don't, you can't have them in the team. And I do see that some of the behaviours of the players when they're Mardy, when they're coming off, okay, they need to think they're coming off, and the player that's coming on is gonna do something. So kind of be part of that. So not just be Mardy. And I hate players that come off that are sulking. Like, get off, get the player on, and let's impact the game.
I've got to say, I know we'll come on to it, but I've got to say, I love the fact that Tuda put on 2 academy players, Olasesi and Rosewell, for their Premier League debuts. Love that, because so many people, including us fans, have been saying that we need more academy players to be coming through, given opportunities. And I thought that was great to give them their Premier League debuts at somewhere like Anfield, of all places as well. Rich, can I ask you about formations and about team selection, because I know that we are down to bare bones today. Hopefully we will get players back, but when you look at the formation, and we've seen in the past 5 games that Tudor has been manager, we have seen various different formations, and we have seen players play out of position as well. A lot of people, I think, like Gareth said earlier, no one really knew what the formation was going into the game when we all saw the starting 11. And then I think a lot of people were very surprised to see Sosa on the right-hand side, as we were against Fulham when Conor Gallagher was out there.
But I also think like some of the players have to take accountability for that. If players are getting red cards left, right and centre, and we've already got a massive injury list, then the manager's not going to be able to play a consistent back four that he believes in. And what I said earlier about, I think the lineup was to win points, and that's what the manager's gone down this route. Clearly, he's worked with something. He's realised that obviously that Liverpool are going to maybe go for pace down the wings, and he's counteracted that with obviously the pace that we've got through those players. And I think it was brave. It was a brave decision to have 2 young players on the wing. Tal and Sosa are young players with a lack of experience within the Tottenham first team, even though Tal is obviously probably the player that's got more experience. But it's really interesting. But then obviously I think the messages are to try and get the ball into Richarlison and Solanke as quickly as possible and let them affect the game. Have the ball further up the pitch, and let's get rid of obviously those mistakes we've had at the back. That was obviously with Danso and Dragusin as your centre backs. You're not going to be wanting those players to have the ball, bringing the ball out because of the lack of confidence they've got, but also the lack of skill set they've got personally. But initially, I was actually going, where are we going to actually win the game here? And then obviously you go back to history and go, well, actually, generally, we don't get a point at Anfield. So to go for a point, to get something out of the game, I think was a clear objective of the manager.
Craig, let's come back to you. Let's talk about the game itself. After 10 minutes, Cody Gakpo shot high and wide after being put in by Wirtz. A minute later, great work from Dominic Solanke. He crossed to Sosa, couldn't get there, and Robertson then cleared. A minute later, a great shot by Sosa, Alisson saving. Tuda at this point was applauding what Sosa had done. It was a good start from Tottenham. And what have you made of Sosa since he's joined?
Yeah, it was a good start, because so many times we've been to Anfield over the years and they've just been 100 mile an hour and like hit us, and we've been a goal down before you know it. But we weathered that storm, even though it wasn't I'll say it again, the Liverpool of old. But you know, you're still at Anfield. Sosa, really interesting. Obviously, got a yellow card last week, didn't he? And was pulled off. I'll tell you what, that shot moved about 6 different directions. And I mean, when you saw it from behind, I don't know if you've had the benefit to see it yet, Chris, but please have a look. It did move. It moved everywhere. So Alisson did really well, actually, to save it. And Alisson annoys me as a goalkeeper because he's so bloody good. I really rate him. I think he's a fantastic goalie. I know he's over 30 now, but his positioning as a goalkeeper, he seems to be always in the right position at the right time. And another good save by him. Sousa, he's probably getting more minutes than the club probably wanted to give him, if I'm brutally honest. And it comes down to the fact that we've needed him. Again, he certainly hasn't let the team down. He's put in a shift, substituted today, as we know. Does he keep his place when the players come back? Probably not. But you got to remember, next weekend he will have a choice. He's got to decide: does he play Romero, Van der Ven? You're going to have Gallagher back. There's probably one more that's going to be back and available that I can't think of off the top of my head. But if we can somehow, as I say, I'll say it again: if we can somehow get 3 points and then the international break, and then we could have a wealth of riches back. We could have something back that we've not had for months. We could have the likes of Kudus back. We could have Bergvall back as well. So, you know, everything. Oh, Doggy as well. Thank you, Rich, for saying and Paulinia. Yeah, cool. So there are players that are coming back, international players, and he's going to have decisions to make, which are good decisions. So does Sousa keep his place? Probably not. But to have that choice and to have those players back, it's going to give everyone a huge boost. But I'll say it again, we've got to start that off by winning that game against Forest, and then things hopefully will start looking a bit better.
I think for me, he was very brave young man. Reminds me a little bit on the ball of like Danny Rose, like moves the ball very quickly, and like you said, Craig, that shot. How many times have we criticised the Spurs players for not shooting in those positions? So again, being brave. I think that's a good thing about those academy players when they come on, or young players like him.
No fear.
Exactly, yeah. And they've got clear instructions, but they're actually going, actually, I've got a real opportunity here. Let's take it.
Yeah.
And that's what we need. We need that. We need those players to actually show the rest of the team that it's okay.
Rich, let's stay with you. In the 18th minute, of course, Liverpool opened the scoring, making it 1-0. Now, 3 points to this. What did you make of the foul, first of all, Archie Gray? Secondly, what did you make of the free kick? And thirdly, what did you make of the goalkeeping? And this is the 11th goal of the season that Vicario has conceded outside of the area.
I'll go to that first. I think Vicario, for one, it was his mistake. He should have definitely saved that. I've watched it because at first I thought the actual free kick had moved something or kind of, but he was going the wrong way. If you look at his feet position, he was going the wrong way first. He must have been sighted because you could see from behind the actual taker that he seen the ball. It wasn't right in the corner. I just think it was another mistake by the keeper that doesn't give you confidence about any kind of opportunity that the opposition has. I think it was just real disappointing. Like hands were very soft. I'm sure he got a hand to the ball, but he was like, he should have been behind it. He should have been totally behind that. There's no way that should have gone in. No way. I think the foul wasn't a foul for me. And what was the question, Chris?
What do you make of the free kick itself?
Yeah, it wasn't right in the corner. I just think it was Vicario made it look better than it was. I think for me it was a frustration as well, because he has those opportunities and it's part of his kind of he gets them on target. He makes the keeper work, and if your keeper's low on confidence, then there's a possibility that goes in. And again, it's one of those things where you watch the defenders' body language after that, and they're like going, "Come on, Vicario, come on! You need to do better. You need to do better at those key moments." And we haven't done better at those key moments all season, and a lot of the time the keeper's been to blame for them.
Craig, do you want to add anything on this goal?
I think I heard, whether I misheard it, I think Vicario has conceded the most long-range shots of all goalkeepers in the Premier League this season.
Yes.
Is that right? So, and Thomas Frank, it always amuses me when I heard this. That Thomas Frank said teams don't, you know, the ratio of scoring goals from distance is not that bad, so he doesn't mind it. And it's always amused me, the fact that he's conceded the most in the league. So that was wrong.
I knew you'd mention Thomas Frank.
Yeah. Well, he said it, and it wasn't me. He did say that. The positioning of Vicario, as you know, Chris, you used to be a goalkeeper. You should be the last man on the wall in line with the ball, so he can still see the ball. The shot was, look, great strike, but it wasn't right in the middle. In my opinion, he should have been doing better. He was right on his line as well, which is slightly unusual. But he should have got across to that. He should have had a stronger wrist. I'm not convinced it was a foul in the first place anyway, but we got punished for it. So Vicario should have been saving that, which is surprising because he is a good shot stopper, but he seems to be better at sort of one-on-one situations and reflex saves, whereas that one from a free kick, you know, albeit it wasn't in the corner, was it? It was a good strike, but he should have done better.
For me, he just seemed to have leapt from the position where he was, rather than actually moved his feet and then dived.
He didn't have any momentum there, did he?
And I'm just wondering, because of what happened the other night at Atletico Madrid, did they wear longer studs this time to not have that same issue?
Yeah, could have.
You
don't know, do you?
Studgate, yeah.
On 21 minutes, Gravenberch for Liverpool. So much time and space, shot over the bar. On 34 minutes, Liverpool, another shot blocked by the Tottenham Hotspur defence. A couple of minutes later, Gakpo hit the post from 20 yards after Richarlison lost the ball. This time, Craig, it did seem to have been saved by Vicario. So that was actually put down as an excellent save.
It was, yeah, you got fingers to it. You didn't really see it in real time. I thought it was straight on the post, but they showed it from behind, and he got it was going in if he didn't get his fingers to it. So it was a great save, yeah.
Rich, is this an area where Spurs really need to upgrade in the summer, goalkeeping position?
Well, I think they're gonna have to, aren't they? I think it's you look at the mistakes he's made with his feet, also decision making. If you're looking for that stability, that spine of the team, and you've got areas of concern, you need to upgrade. You need to make decisions, and I think if that's the case, you sell him. You've got to sell him, and you bring in another keeper with, I think, a lot more experience. I've always wanted somebody when we replaced Lloris with somebody that you could actually say a world-class keeper that's got a lot of experience in those big games, but also is a great communicator. I still like flapping at corners like he was in his first season, and then some of the decisions he's made with his feet has really made me think he's not a keeper that Spurs should rely on, never mind have in the team. And we need an upgrade, but I think at the end of the season, I think we need to say, actually, enough's enough. Like this season, we're going to start fresh. Here's the next chapter with the next keeper, and then we build off him, whoever that person is.
Craig, let's come back to you because just before half time, what a glorious couple of opportunities Spurs had. involving Richarlison. Sosa kept it in on 44 minutes. Tell crossed it to Richarlison. He headed just wide. Seemed like he was leaning back a little bit, but the header just went just wide. In stoppage time, Richarlison, it was a poor pass forward. Matisse Tell would have been in. He was in such a good position, but Richarlison clearly chose the wrong pass. And then just seconds later, a corner. Richarlison headed it towards goal. Alisson saved it. Glorious chances for Richarlison.
Yeah, and again, that last one, just annoying that Alisson's such a good goalkeeper. Probably should have done better, Richarlison, to be honest with that one. The cross you spoke about, it was just slightly too high for him. He was reaching a bit. If he'd been a couple of inches taller, he'd have been able to get his forehead on it properly. It just glanced off the top of his head and went wide. So that was just, I think that was just unlucky. But the one you're talking about with Tell, yeah, he just didn't have the. He did. I don't know whether he looked to his left at all for that, but Tell was in. Tell was very frustrated. Actually, he was, threw his arms in the air to say, why haven't you passed to me? So yeah. But Richarlison's not really known for his vision as such, so I'll probably let him off that one. But Richarlison's got this thing with Liverpool. He always seems to score. He scored, I think somebody said 2 for Everton against Liverpool. He's scored 3 for Tottenham now. So he's kind of the pain in Liverpool's side, and he just loves playing against them. But we need him to do that for the rest of the season against whoever we're playing, because if he does that, he could if he does go in the summer, regardless of if we get relegated or if we stay in the Premier League, then if his goals help keep us up, then he's going to go down as a Spurs legend, bizarrely, isn't he? Because his goals have kept us in the Premier League. If that happens, let's hope it does.
And the same as he did for Everton as well. He did exactly.
Yeah, exactly. They love him up there. Yeah. But I'll come back to it. That's the player you want in your corner. And I've been critical as an ex-man over Richarlison. I don't think he's. I dare say I don't think he's actually that good a striker. Actually, I think I want to see. I've always wanted to see more from him. I want to see 20 goals a season. Yeah. But in this fight, that's the sort of player you need. That's the sort of attitude.
And I think that's the importance, isn't it? It's important to have those players that then step up to the plate. And I said this earlier about Richarlison is a player that thrives under certain situations. And obviously today, you could tell he was frustrated. But do you know, sometimes I get frustrated with him because I sometimes feel he doesn't know where he is in the 6-yard box. He's like, he kind of loses his bearings a little bit. And I think today there was a couple of times that header that went just wide. I think he actually thought he got that on target at first. He was frustrated with himself because he was like, look, this is like not a hard header. I'm just directing it into the corner. And I think he actually thought he got it where he needed to be and scored.
Rich, does it frustrate you, Richarlison? Because I know obviously we've got a point at Anfield today. Richarlison has got on the score sheet, but those chances, particularly at the end, those chances, you've got to be converting more.
Yeah, your conversion rate needs to be high, doesn't it? And past seasons with strikers that we've had in the past, such as Kane, etc., I think he's putting those away, and that's a real frustration. But then you have like games where scores a worldie or last minute kind of fight that kind of brings the team back. Richarlison's a player that in the fight you'd like to have available, but he is frustrating the fans, and there is the fans love a player that puts himself on the line, and whether he's loved or hated by the way fans loves when they actually put the head and the foot in the way. And I think that's where Cowlin just doesn't do that. Like me and Craig were talking before we came on and just saying, this guy can't start because he doesn't want it enough. And Richarlison, I think for me, as a 2, it's working because he can play off somebody that's aggressive, that's physical, that he can kind of battle with. I think on his own, he looks a little bit isolated. And I think that's what's happened previously, that he looked a little bit isolated and he was getting frustrated on the field of play. Well, at the moment with Solanke had an okay game, probably not his best game, but he was physical. And I think that's where you have to be with centre-backs like Van Dijk.
Craig, let's come to you. So at the half-time break, it was 1-0 Liverpool. Igor Tudor received a yellow card after 48 minutes. Sosa was also trying to say to the referee that the Liverpool player, Rio, should have got a yellow card because they felt that he'd dived. Moments before, he went past Pedro Porro and Sosa, went down in the area. A couple of minutes later, Liverpool on the attack again. Frimpong to Rio, tried to bend it in the right-hand corner, but it went over the bar. A couple of minutes later, Rio shot at Vicario, comfortable for the Spurs number one. 55 minutes, Richarlison managed to get a shot in. Alisson made a save, but Van Dijk was holding him, all over him. Should it have been a penalty?
I think if that had been Romero going the other way, he'd have been sent off. And I do think, you say conspiracy theories and all that. I think Liverpool at Anfield tend to get decisions. When you watch it again, I think what Richarlison, unusually for Richarlison, he was too honest because he got his shot off, didn't he? And I think if he'd just gone down and not had a shot, then it might have been a different outcome. But you watch that was 100% a foul. Now, I don't know whether the referees are under instruction. If the players get the shot off, then you can't go back and give the foul. It just seems ridiculous. I don't know if he was in the box at the time. I can't remember. I know he was obviously running towards the goal, wasn't he? But, I mean, there was an argument to say he could have got a sent off if he was the last man. Do you know what I mean? I know it's possible that could have happened. It's really strange.
What I wanted to ask is, what's the difference with the Van de Ven one?
Yeah, it's a good point. I think it was probably because he was perhaps nearer the goal and that was a definite goal-scoring opportunity. But then, was Richarlison in control of the ball at the time? That's what they would probably say. I don't agree with it. I think he would have a bloody good chance of going through and scoring, actually. But it was 100% a foul. He was all over him. Richarlison did well to stay on his feet. Like I say, if he'd actually gone down, you might have had a different outcome. But, Van Dijk, it annoyed me a bit because Jamie Carragher's saying, Van Dijk, that, he done so well there to do. He's so biased and he hated the fact. He absolutely hated the fact we come back into it, honestly. And why you would have a Sky, a Liverpool fan, a Liverpool player, doing the co-cons, you know what I mean? When Carragher, people say Gary Neville winds them up but I think Gary Neville's a bit more honest, and if we're playing Man U and beating him, he's generally more honest. But Carragher, oh my God, he really did my head in today.
Rich, let's come to you. After 56 minutes, Sosa went off, Javi Simons came on. I know we've mentioned about the starting 11 today, but Javi Simons seemed to not get much game time at all under Igor Tudor. Certainly starts. He's on the sub bench again today, but came on after 56 minutes. His first touch was a shot that was blocked following a Spurs corner. What have you made of Javi Simons? Because Javi Simons was meant to be our star signing of the summer. What have you made of him this season, and what have you made of these games under Igor Tudor with Javi Simons?
Well, obviously, like I said before, I think obviously the manager looking for points, isn't he? He's not looking for those flair players that give the ball away or they're meant to be having an impact on the game, but actually not doing that. And I think he sees him as a little bit of a liability in the game, or maybe that luxury player that we can't afford at the moment. So I think that probably will continue because the manager's looking for the kind of performance today where the players are expected to come off the bench and have an impact. And obviously he did when he came off onto the pitch, and that was clear. He had an impact, had the energy. But it's about getting over this. Like, if you're not starting, like, you're going to kind of have a little bit of a, not necessarily strop, but not be too happy about it. I think, again, team. You're part of a team, and the team wins when you're giving your best. So give your best, whether you start or come off and have an impact. Everybody is part of that team, and it's a process. And I think for me, he's flashes of the player we bought, but no consistency there. Why is that? I think maybe the pace of the Premier League around game after game, the intensity. I think some of the away games has been very poor, not really showed up in the games and then been pulled off at half time or at least like 50, 55 minutes. we miss somebody that can have a real impact. That Kudos, that Cooley, that can kind of really have an impact in the game. And I think obviously when he's in the team, we're expecting a lot more. And we've probably seen 1 or 2 games where he's actually had a good game. He scored, had a couple of assists, but generally been a player that we want a lot more from.
Craig, let's come to you. On 63 minutes, Liverpool made a treble sub. Salah, Ekitike, Jones, all coming on. How are you feeling at that point? Because as I mentioned earlier, I was absolutely delighted when those teams come out to see, Ekitike and Salah on the bench.
Yeah, I kind of looked at our bench, and then you think that the choices Liverpool have got to bring on. I mean, 3 fantastic players, and although Salah's not been the Mo Salah of previous seasons, he's still Mo Salah. Ekitike, obviously, a bit of a mixed season, but he has been scoring goals. But really, they didn't. It didn't massively change Liverpool that much. I know they had a couple of chances, but yeah, when you I can't swear, but I was thinking, oh dear, when they came on.
After 67 minutes, Pedro Porro put a cross into the Liverpool box. It was too much for Richarlison to get to. A minute later, Richarlison did have a shot straight at Alisson. In the same minute, Ekitike had a shot high and wide. 4 minutes later, Salah shot wide. It was Dragusin's mix-up with Vicario. Dragusin actually expected Vicario to come out and collect the ball, but then Salah managed to get it. Vicario, it was a bit of a mix-up, Craig, wasn't it? What have you made of Radu Dragusin in a Spurs shirt in these last few games?
Difficult for him to come in. Obviously, coming back from injury, the ACL, it is a tough place to come in to such an important position and expect to perform. I don't think Dragusin's a top centre back, but he's came in today, and I have to mark him on today. Really, I thought he did okay today. I thought he was pretty solid. There's a couple of iffy moments, but he was pretty solid today. As I say, does he get in front of the likes of Romero and Van der Ven? No, but to see him partner with Danzo, I think whoever Danzo plays with there's a kind of calmness there. Whereas if Dragusin's playing with Van der Ven or Romero, it's a bit different. So people shouldn't underestimate the impact Danzo has on this team. To be honest with you, and I think his influence today probably helped Radu Dragusin.
And a run of games will probably have an impact for him. I think he's a young player, obviously, that needs that support and guidance. He's not really had those leaders in the team give him the support that he needs. And I think young players that make mistakes, you need to have leaders in the team that support them through that. And I think what's happened with some of the young players is they've made mistakes, and obviously they've been criticised heavily for it.
Yeah. After 73 minutes, Spence shot straight at the goalkeeper. So many players in the box. It seemed like Tottenham were taking a few risks, putting more and more men forward, Rich, with 20 minutes or so to go.
Yeah, no. And again, that word I spoke about earlier, being brave, like wanting to get something out of the game, not fearing conceding a second and a third. I think that's what really did show me we've got some fight, and we talk about having teams that show that fight, and we definitely did in that last 20 minutes, and using your strikers up top and giving them the opportunities. Some of the balls that went into the box were maybe just off, or the attacking players just weren't in the positions to make contact or have a good contact. But I think being brave and putting yourself in those positions is part of the process, and that's what gave me the encouragement in the last 20 minutes that we actually can get something out of the game. And as the co-commentators of the Football Today were saying, that Spurs looked better team and looked like we were going to go on and get 3 points. I think Liverpool ran out of ideas, definitely ran out of legs. We showed their vulnerability at the back, especially around pace, and I think our players ran the Liverpool players down towards the end, and I think that's why we obviously scored the goal that Richarlison scored from obviously their defensive mistake, but also potentially could have had other opportunities to win it.
Craig, let's come to you. A couple of minutes later, so on 75 minutes with 15 minutes to play, Tell had a shot which was blocked, and then Tuda made a double sub. Tell coming off, Spence coming off. I think a lot of people were surprised with Jed Spence going off at that point. Mawani coming on, Olisesi coming on for his Premier League debut. What do you make of that decision of Jed Spence going off? I know it obviously worked out in the end. You know, Spurs salvaged a point at Anfield, but at that point, Spence was one of our better players.
Yeah, he certainly was. But the lad Rio had already gone off by that stage, so I think he was just perhaps trying something just a little bit different. Jed Spence was obviously there, and he was under instructions to keep their right winger essentially quiet. Although, when you're being replaced with Mohamed Salah, you know, you could argue that it's not much of a climb down. So perhaps Spence was just running on empty. He'd done a lot of running, and he was just trying to, like I say, do something different, just freshen it up a bit. And you have to say, ultimately, it worked because we got the much needed equaliser. So, and having Mawani come on, just talking about Mawani, I don't think he's a Spurs player. I don't think there's ever any danger of us trying to sign him full time at the end of the season. But perhaps that's what his role is, to come on and just run at people when they're a bit tired. He obviously made the difference today. Passed to Richarlison and got his assist. So look, I'm just hanging on any little bit of positivity at the moment that is giving people a bit more confidence. And Callum Mawani is going to get a lot of confidence from that. And you're talking about the players that come on, the academy players, didn't embarrass themselves. They looked like they were ready-made and ready to play in this Premier League. So that's good news as well. So, and really kudos to Tuda for slinging them on, because that's a bit of a cauldron to go into for your first game, isn't it?
I think when Spence came off, I think it was a conscious decision to get more people in the box. And if you notice at that point, then Archie Gray was obviously swinging the ball in, and there's more opportunity for connection in the box. And I think that was evident that they'd actually seen, well, what we're going to do now is, instead of keeping the wingers out wide, is going to try and have somebody like Archie Gray on the ball, swinging the ball in, and then having more bodies in the box. That's what I saw anyway.
Yeah.
For the next couple of minutes, we're just going to hear from Callum Olisesi and James Rosewell on making their Premier League debuts today against Liverpool.
Chaps, all done. Premier League debuts at Anfield, eh? Come through the academy to make your debut here is something special, isn't it? James, all done.
Thank you very much. I don't even know what to say at the minute. I'm so happy right now. All I've been working on, everything's built up to this moment, and I'm just so grateful and so happy for it to come around.
I'll let James gather himself for a minute, Callie. I mean, obviously you've been around the squad for a long time now, but to make your Premier League debut here, tell us what you're feeling.
Yeah, it's a dream come true. Had a couple games that I've been on the bench, but loads actually, but to get on the pitch now, it's a great feeling.
And you're on the pitch when Richie tucks away that equaliser, which is a massive point for us. How was that?
Yeah, it's good. We need all the points we can get right now. Obviously, we're not in the best situation, but if we all work hard and stick together, then we'll be able to get out of it.
James, you've been around it as well quite a lot this season. I mean, we're in a difficult spot at the moment. What are you learning about yourself, during this time?
I'll just try and do my part and help the team as much as I possibly can, and everyone just plays a part. And what a massive point it was today against Anfield. So at Anfield, so yeah, we just got to keep building on this. And yeah.
What was it like when the ball at the back of the net? That was a moment I saw all the bench were up, weren't they?
Oh, it was brilliant. Yeah, massive moment for us. Yeah, Brian the point. So.
And two more academy players have made their Premier League debuts. I mean, you've now got a legacy number. You're part of the club forever, and it's just such a special day when this happens, isn't it? It must give you a sense of pride.
Yeah, no, definitely a proud moment for me and my family. Like I said, just very grateful for this opportunity to come around.
Kelly, he's a veteran now, and he made his debut. He made his debut ages ago, but it's got again a special day for everyone involved in the academy. This is what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's great, and I'm happy for James as well. Obviously, I've seen the hard work he's putting in training every day. Just keep him going at it. So now that his time's come, so I'm happy for him. And I think that shows the academy that there is a chance if you keep working hard and believing.
There's kids joining this club at under 6 who are looking at you two thinking it can be done. I mean, that's a massive thing.
Yeah, definitely. I think I come in when I was like 8 or 9 and done the whole journey up through the academy. So hopefully we get many more people doing the same thing. And like Cal said, it's great for the academy.
Rich, great day for both of them, particularly us getting a point at Anfield. But how special, would it be for them and their families that they mentioned there, and most importantly, to give that message to everyone in the academy that they could get their chance very soon.
Yeah, it's massive, isn't it? Believe, achieve. That's it. And the two messages that came out of that interview were teamwork, togetherness, right? Hard work. Just shows that every day that they're going into training as like an 8, 9, 10-year-old, believing that pathway is open to them. And I think that's always been obviously the vision when the new academy was put together, that we have the influx of those players that not only bring that talent in, but also kind of show these young players that there's an opportunity and a platform for these players to have success. And it's a great thing to have as a club. It's and it means a lot. It means a lot to the club as a whole to have homegrown players, because they've got the ethos and ethic, and they live and breathe the club's values, which is so important in those big games. But also to the fans as well, and the fans have a real connection to those academy players. Those fans that go every week, that want to see those academy players. Those fans such as yourself, Chris, that go and watch them all the way through the academy and see them get that opportunity, is, I'm sure, a great moment for yourself as well. You see those players flourish, and then you go, actually, this is the reason why they put all this hard work, because you've now become a fully fledged Tottenham Hotspur player.
Yeah, I couldn't put it better myself, Rich. After 77 minutes, Liverpool had a chance through Salah. He shot over the bar. A minute later, Gravenberch shot at the goalkeeper. A minute later, Archie Gray crossed to Richarlison, couldn't quite get there. On 82 minutes, Vicario gave the ball away to Salah. He won a corner. On 85 minutes, Szoboszlai had a shot which went wide. On 88 minutes, Xavi Simons tried a long-range effort in the bottom right-hand corner, but it was comfortable for Alisson. And then came the equaliser in the 90th minute. Let's come to you, Craig. It was fantastic work by Randall Kolo Muani, and the ball actually came straight from Vicario. Randall Kolo Muani, he laid it perfectly down to Richarlison, and of course, Richie finished it very well.
Yeah, I was amazed actually that Cowlin seemed to have a lot of time, seemed to stand still in many ways. When you see from that freeze frame, Richarlison is just about to start on the move, because he can see that Cowlin has got the ball and he's running forward. He would have been hoping to have an opportunity to cut in and shoot on his left, but Richarlison there, the marking from Liverpool, shocking, really. You would never have seen that before, but Richarlison in the right place at the right time. They were saying on the telly, if he'd actually hit it clean, he might have missed or been saved by Alisson. Bit of a scuff, but do you know what? I'll take it, and Richarlison will take it. And I loved his celebration, the way he went over to almost Liverpool fans and did the shush thing and just smiling. They must hate him. They must really hate him. But things you love to see, innit?
Rich, do you want to add anything on the goal?
It was a bit of a scuff. No, but a goal's a goal, right? And like I say, there was other opportunities that we might have had a nick from Danzo in one of Rich's opportunities, or maybe Gravenberch's back might have given us a goal. And you need sometimes that little piece of luck. But I think because he's always like wanting those opportunities and sometimes rushes them too much. And I think that if you look at the actual shot itself, it looked like he maybe even like hit it against his back leg as well, and it kind of scuffed in. So I think if it a real connection, a real kind of pure connection, it might have gone wide. But sometimes you need that look. And Muani, yes, out-muscled. Who was the defender? Was it Robertson? Was it at the time? I don't know who right back was. Out-muscled him, and then obviously played it off to Richarlison, and then finished, and then obviously celebrating in the way he does. And because he did that, I was kind of saying, look, do not waste all your energy. We've done this before where Richarlison's like rescued a point or scored what could be the winner, and then the opposition team go down the other end and score.
Yeah.
And there was a couple of moments where I was like, let's not play pinball football for those last 2 minutes. Let's keep that point and go into the next game with a positive. And at Anfield as well, that's big. That's a big moment, I think, in our season. And I'm sure the away fans really did enjoy that, and I definitely did at home. And let's use that now. Let's use it, and hopefully that brings Richarlison the confidence to go on a bit of a goal scoring run as well.
Yeah, but particularly winning a point, and perhaps could have even won it in the end. For Spurs, because this is a place where we don't do very well. We've won twice there in the last 40 years. But talking about Richarlison, he has just come out and said, in the first half, I missed 2 chances, but I kept going. In the second half, I had an opportunity again and scored. It's a big point. We now stay focused for next week, and we have a Champions League game in midweek. But the focus now is on the importance of the Premier League. He then went on to say, I like to play against big teams like Liverpool. It's a big opportunity for me. I want to stay fit for the club and also for the national team because we have a World Cup in June. I need to stay fit. The club needs me to be available. Craig, I tell you what, with him talking there about, the World Cup for Brazil, that is obviously given him the target. He has obviously come out and said he needs to stay fit. This, could be a much better version of Richarlison from now until the end of the season when we really, really do need him and really, really do need goals.
Yeah, and he won't want to be going into a World Cup where he's just been relegated with the team he plays for. That doesn't really get the psyche sort of like ready for a World Cup, does it? So I'll come back to it. He's one of the few players that have experienced this before. I'm not sure. Would have Archie Gray experienced it when he was at Leeds? I'm not sure because I don't know if he was playing much when Leeds were last in the Prem. But Richarlison, personally, I'd rest him midweek. I'd put Cowlin up front. To be honest with you, the focus has got to be. We've got to keep Richarlison fit. And people will know that I've given Richarlison pelters along with a lot of people on this channel, but he is so important. He's going to be so important over these last few games that we need to keep him fit. And I wouldn't be gutted at all to see Richarlison wrapped up in a nice warm coat sitting on the bench on in the midweek, to be honest with you. And I can't quite believe I'm saying it. And I know one of the regular viewers, Jim Brentart, loves Richarlison. And I don't quite love Richarlison as much as Jim, but the value he can bring. Archie Gray, I want to see him rested as well. Players like that, the big players today. Rest Danzo on is it Wednesday, isn't it, the game? So rest him. If you want to play Romero, if he's allowed to with concussion, Romero, Van der Ven, get him a few minutes. But we need these players in this run-in.
As we said earlier, what a great moment for James Rosewell making his Premier League debut at Anfield. He came on for Richarlison in the 95th minute. And then in the final seconds, Ekitike had a shot which was blocked by Sarr. A fantastic block from Sarr.
Oh, Chris, that's a good point, actually. Ronnie's just said Richie can't play Wednesday. Did he get a card or something?
Yes, he did. He got the second yellow card at Atletico Madrid. So he is now suspended for Wednesday's game. You're absolutely right.
Well, that's good news. It's good news.
Just a funny moment, just before kickoff, the player liaison officer, Alan Dixon, was standing there, and Tuda went over thinking that it was Arnie Slot who he was saying hello to. It was very funny. It was very funny.
That really, I could not believe that. It was so funny. Went to shake his hand and everything. Lastly,
we're now going to hear from Igor Tudor. This is about a 6-minute press conference. And when we come back, we'll ask Craig and Richard about their thoughts ahead of the Atletico Madrid game on Wednesday and the Forest game on Sunday. But here is Igor Tudor in the post-match presser.
Ali.
Your first point in the Premier League, how did that feel?
Nice. Yeah, some fresh air, some good things for the confidence of the player. Everyone again around in the club and around, especially fans. Good team spirit. So, seeing the circumstances, the team was today coming here at Anfield with 12 players, with what we already know. So this is something big. Something big. We stay in the game. We believe. I feel that we could score the goal. The players also feel. So okay, it's nice.
Sometimes when the team's on a downward spiral, you need one moment that just kicks you back up again. Can that Richarlison goal be the moment?
Yeah. We hope, you know. It's a long way to our goal, which is stay in Premier League. Still a lot of games to play, but today was important to show what they showed today, independently of the result. As I said, when you are honest, you need to be honest, give everything. Then the football will give you back. So that was my words before the game, and so it's happened today. It's happened today. As I said, it was not easy, and now we need to see now what to do in these two games in front of us, to see who is able to play, who is not able to play, who is injured, who is not injured. So it's not easy. We continue to have the problems from that point of view, the numbers, but that's why this result is even more important.
Now, Igor, you've spoken about the team needing a small team mentality in recent weeks. Do you think they showed that kind of small team mentality? Yeah. Today was that. You know, with the ball, as I said, simple things. In our possession with the ball, simple things. Second balls, fight, because it's like a moment like that deserve to do simple things. So starting for good team spirit, good defense, and fight. And they show this, and it's a good start, let's say. Seemed to be a little bit of change of system today. I know you've spoken about the system doesn't really mean so much, it's what they do in practice, but seemed to be kind of four at the back with Sousa on the right and attack.
Yeah. No, we prepared in one training with Connor in the middle, and other solutions, but we need to change today. So it was a system. It was a team putting without training. Let's say 2-3 position was changed because in Tottenham happened like this. You know, you prepare 2 trainings, then in the morning you put the team you didn't prepare because someone is out. So that's, again, to repeat, is even more value of this victory. So to guys, congratulations to the guys. They were happy there also, you know. And then team spirit. That was the key of this point.
Igor, there's been obviously a lot of questions about your management since you've been here. Does this game show that the players are fighting for you and listening to what you're saying?
When you make analysis of any kind of coach, you need to see what were the games. So when I watched last 2 games, and I'm here was 4 games. Let's see, first two games, and then other 2 games. When you watch the games, I think there is nothing to comment from the football point of view. When I watch our 2 games, and I need to have comment of the coach, I cannot tell nothing. So there is nothing to comment when you get red card. You have 1-0, and what happened last game. So all those who are speaking and comment, what you can say. If you are honest with you, make analysis of the coach, think after these 2 games, what I can tell. There is nothing to comment. There is nothing about football. There is nothing about, it's not football, you know. So job is of coach, we know how is it. I am coaching 15 years. Never was thinking 1 second about my future, 1 second even. I never think about my future, my past. I always think about training tomorrow, how to help the players. No, don't read nothing, don't watch nothing. Future is just imagination. Future don't exist. It's a consequence of today, of tomorrow training. So I don't know, it's just losing energy about thinking what will happen. Don't give you nothing. Never. In this job, in football, in life, nothing. Just focus on now, here. That's the key. For the players even. This you can get away from the fever in this way. What is thinking, what will happen, bring you in a state of mind which is not give you nothing. So stay now, be focused what you can change. That's every coach is doing.
Two very young midfielders and then Saul and Gray. What did you make of their performances, and also were you expecting Conor Gallagher to be fit today?
Yeah, no, I like them very much in an Atletico game as well. In two middle, they have both things, good energy, running, even quality. So what I said, I would like to have this consistency with the team, like other coaches. So today, seeing the bench of Liverpool, it's like make you feel different, So without having all, let's say, squad on complete and the time, you can work on a daily basis. Everything it's almost impossible. So the job is hard to do. Sometimes maybe you cannot even imagine, because you are outside, how difficult is job to do here. And in the end, what your colleague said, there's always about results. So if there are no results, it's always like someone who is charged is not working good, is not good enough. But okay, good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Craig, let's come to you. Final questions. What do you make of Igor Tudor's comments there about today's 1-1 draw away at Liverpool? And of course, we've got two huge games coming up, one on Wednesday in the Champions League against Atletico Madrid, 5-2 down from last week's first leg in Madrid. And of course, next Sunday, Nottingham Forest at home. And you rightly said, Leeds are at home to Brentford on Saturday, and then West Ham travel to Villa Park to face Aston Villa on Sunday, as well as Spurs facing Nottingham Forest. What a huge week it is, because after those Premier League games next weekend, it is then the international break. A huge game in the Premier League. Would you almost like Spurs to be out of the Champions League to concentrate on these remaining Premier League matches?
I can't believe I'm going to say this, but yes, I think it's just more of a distraction now than anything else. If we were safe from relegation, then obviously you want us to go far in the Champions League, but it's not about that. For me, getting to the next round of the Champions League, then getting knocked out, doesn't mean a thing. You might as well, I'm not saying throw the game. I don't want to see your team throw a game, but it's not the most important thing. The most important game is next weekend against Nottingham Forest. And Premier League survival is paramount, absolutely paramount. It sets us back years and years and years if we get relegated, and the club will know that. The club will be crapping themselves if we go down, and still this possibility we could go down. Whatever happens, I just want to get Wednesday's game out of the way. I want to be out of the Champions League. I want us to concentrate on the Premier League. Now, you could argue all you like about, we should be trying to win that, because, if you lose it, then you lose that momentum. It worked the other way last season in the Europa League, didn't it? We lost enough games and we still did perform well. We just got to flip that on its head and get those performances going in the Premier League. Because, like as you say, if we can somehow beat Forest next weekend, it will be a great feeling going into that international break, knowing that we've beaten Forest, rather than having to wait 3 weeks for the next game, knowing we've lost or drawn. So it's incredibly important, massive game, and let's hope we can do it.
Yeah, for the fans, for the players, for Tuda, for the club, everyone. Craig, just a very quick summary on what you made of Tudor's comments there.
Oh, sorry, yeah. I thought it was a decent press conference. Obviously, a bit relieved there. I did like what he said about, don't think about the past or the future. He thinks about the now. And I think that's pretty much spot on. He has said some weird things in press conferences before. I think a lot's lost in translation, to be honest with you. But he's basically he's just thinking about training tomorrow. He's thinking about his job. He's got to get these players up for it. He knows we got the Champions League game, but he'll be thinking about the focus is going to be on Forest. So he's thinking about that game and doing what he can, and let's hope he can do that. And I think if the club will have a very interesting decision to make take Champions League out of it, but if the result doesn't go our way against Forest, then what do the club do? That will be an interesting thing to see what they do. I think if we beat Forest, he's here for the rest of the season, and he's probably earned that right as well. So let's not think about that. Let's think about hopefully we can get the win against Forest next weekend.
And Rich, same questions to you. What do you make of Igor's press conference there, and another huge week for us Tottenham fans as well?
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, the press conference was all about talking about his leadership style and how he's trying to mould the players that he's got available into the team that gains those points, and also kind of some of the criticism that he's had as a coach, maybe put that onto the circumstance that the cards has been dealt, and he's rightly said that obviously some of the players have let him down within that process by red cards, but also the injuries that he's actually had, and over the games that he's actually had. How many of those games has he had? The start 11 players on the pitch at the end of the game, and he's had some poor games as a coach, but then you look at the players, and those players have not only been poor under his tenure, but also obviously Thomas Frank as well. And I think at the end of the season there needs to be a real kind of, some of those players need to look at themselves, and if they're moved on in that process, that they've got their self to blame for that. And some players will look to jump ship whether we stay in the Premier League or not. And I think that's always disappointing. I think his style of management is all about results, clearly, and gaining those results under any means. And that was what I got out of that press conference, that he basically just saying, look, we're going to take the confidence out of this game, but then obviously we just move on to the next training session, and I look for what I've got available and then plan accordingly. And that's what clearly he's going to do for Atletico Madrid. I think the clear decision that he made with bringing the academy players on would probably mean that they'll have some game time against Atletico Madrid in the midweek. I think he's kind of a manager that does things for a real reason, and I think that's probably the reason why he's also done that. Get the players some minutes against Liverpool away. You're going to be playing at home midweek, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree, Rich. I completely agree. Are either of you brave enough to give me a score prediction for the Spurs Forest game?
2-0 Spurs.
Yeah, we'll win. Yeah, I think we'll win. I think we'll concede though, Craig. I think we're 2-1. I think Solanke maybe will score, and then you'll get maybe one of the defenders a header, maybe corner. I think we score from a corner. But just want obviously Spurs to score first. I'd hate to see Forest scoring first and then being on the back foot. But being really positive with the game plan. But I think obviously Tuda's going to go down the very same lines what we had today, which will be stable, get rid of some of those situations where we're vulnerable on the ball. So it might be direct, which against Forest their centre backs are quite strong. So again, they're very similar to Van Dijk. So it's going to be more of a physical game. But I think obviously one game at a time. Get the Atletico Madrid game out the way. Do you know what I'd like to see? Maybe even if we drew that game against Atletico Madrid and had some kind of positive things that we could still take out that game moving forwards, because momentum is key, and I think you don't want to go into that game having your pants pulled down and lose 3 or 4-0. You want some players that have come into that starting lineup having confidence to know that maybe they're not going to start against Forest, but if called on from the bench, you're going to come on and have an impact.
You could win it 1 or 2-0 and still have that positivity. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I feel like it's very positive to take positive signs, and like you say, Rich, about momentum. It's hugely important.
Massive in performance sport. It's underrated. It's underrated in and that's again the crowd feed off that momentum. They've seen a positive result. let's have that kind of first 15 minutes where whatever happens, the crowd are behind the team. Remember, booing players, no positives ever come of that. You need to build up, like make the players like feel like they're loved because they are loved, and then they'll deliver that performance because we believe in them.
Well, thank you both for joining me this evening on this very positive podcast. It's been really good, but like I've said throughout, we're not going to get carried away yet. We are just 1 point above the relegation zone, but what a huge game next Sunday at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, as we will be hosting Nottingham Forest. Richard, you're always busy. You're always running here, there, and everywhere. What have you been up to lately? What are you going to be up to in the near future?
I ran a half marathon today. I did a half marathon in North Nottingham today, and I've got another hour on the treadmill to do tonight. It's 10 to 9, so yeah, I'll be on the treadmill tonight for an hour. So basically, I'm looking to try and break my own world record in Milan in 4 weeks' time, and so yeah, doing a lot of work on my nutrition. So anybody want any nutrition advice? I've got the main guy actually helping me with my nutrition, so hopefully that's going to go well. And then obviously go to Milan and try and break 2:41 for the marathon in a couple of weeks' time. But yeah, we're super busy, but always a pleasure to be on the podcast, Chris, and everybody kind of subscribe and like and support Chris's message, because it does make a difference. And for somebody like myself that comes on when I can to keep up to date, yeah, Chris, you do a fantastic job with obviously you're helping your wingman Craig, who smiles sometimes. No, I've got a smile. There you go.
Sometimes. when it warrants.
It's always a pleasure, boys. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, Rich. Thank you, and best of luck with the world record as well. I'm sure you'll do it. And it's great to have Igor Tudor's brother with us every week, isn't it? Craig, we've got a charity challenge coming up on Thursday, the day after the Champions League game. We haven't been mentioning it because these performances and results, we couldn't mention it, but I suppose today we can mention it. Are you looking forward to doing it?
I wouldn't use that expression, but I've done abseiling and climbing and that before, so I shouldn't be. But as you get older, you tend to, I wouldn't say I was ever scared of heights, but I'm kind of gone back the other way now. If I'm up in a tall building, no problem. But if I'm standing there about to jump off the Spurs Stadium, it's probably going to be a bit different. But I'm looking forward to get it out the way. Let's be honest. So let's get it out the way. A bit like the Champions League game. Let's get it out the way and then get that out the way. Not gonna
So I should have probably explained it a little bit better than that. On Thursday afternoon, Craig and I will be at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Not throwing ourselves off the stadium, but we'll be abseiling down the side of the west stand. The south stand. And doing the skywalk as well. So I'm absolutely petrified. I feel like Craig is a lot more calmer than I am. I'm going to probably not say a word to him on Thursday, but let's see how it goes. Craig will definitely do it. I'm not sure about me. I might bottle it.
You've got to do it. You will do it.
But yeah, thanks to Gareth as well. If you do want to sponsor Craig and I, all of the details are below, and all of your support is always really appreciated. So thank you. Thanks for watching, everyone, and thanks for listening. Rich, thanks so much. Craig, thank you. Gareth, thank you. And as per usual, thanks so much for everyone watching and listening and all of your support. And we will see you on the next podcast after the Atletico Madrid game on Wednesday evening. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy your week, and come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
We'll be right back.